Oh, hey folks, how you doing? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Tony Wisdom, Tony No Lamb. And here I am with my post, Raw Recap. Overall, I thought the show, well, not great, but wasn't as horrendous as the last 2 weeks have been. So I guess with that in mind, we'll just with the review. See that actually, being that it was yesterday was Memorial Day. They actually started the show with a video package dedicating that was dedicated to everyone who's ever served in the military, the U.S. Armed Forces and everything, and with a Memorial Day tribute video package. Classy move on WWE's part. They do that every year, and it's one of the good things that they do. They always support the troops. So it's a good move there. Then before the show started, then after that we get a recap of the John Cena, Johnny Ace, Big Show angle. They recapped what happened at Over the Limit and what happened last Monday on Raw. And my God, this feud is so stupid. Less said about the recap, the better. Okay, so the actual live show started with Big Show coming to the ring, and then he gets in the ring and he's got a smile on his face, and he says, "Hey, this is me doing my job." And he says, that it was easy to make people smile. He used it when he was a good guy, and he didn't mind doing that. And he said when he made that smile, it was a business decision. He blah blah blah, what have you. And he says, he doesn't have to do that anymore now. He doesn't have to care about the fans or what have you, because now he has an ironclad contract. And the fans chant for Cena, and Show says that his contract and bonus have him set for life, and he can do whatever he wants, to whoever he wants, however he wants, all that stuff. And he said having the ironclad contract and the fat bonus puts a smile on his face. And he's saying, he doesn't have to worry about putting smiles on the faces on the people's faces anymore. He says he's not an entertainer; he's a giant. And he says there's no one in his league, in WWE or in MMA, football, or any other sport, that kind of stuff. And he says that might have been why no one came to his defense a couple weeks ago when he was begging for his job and dropped to his knees and all that shit. So he mentions that and then he mentions, which I actually like to brought this up. Just like minutes after he was begging for his job, he said this happened, and then they showed Brodus Clay in there with the Funkadactyls or whatever the hell you call them, and they're doing their shtick. It's like, I like that they brought this up, and just how stupid that was to Brodus Clay in there right after that serious tragic angle or whatever you want to call it. So then, Big Show says that his tears weren't even dry in the ring yet when Brodus came out and started doing his Flash Funk Meet PN news shtick. So then he said that he thought Kofi Kingston and R-Truth were his friends. He thought that they would have come to his aid, but they didn't do anything for him. And he said it was just easy for the fans to move on. He says that it's like the fans are just shallow-minded and phony. And he said that he's most disappointed in Cena. And then he says that when he saw Cena confront Johnny Ace at the end of that show, he thought he was going to be coming to his defense, but as the heroes would have did this, and then they showed Johnny Ace, Cena calling Johnny Ace loser, and was like, "Oh, Big Show, loser," which was so they tied that into how stupid the whole thing was. He said, it's like, Show mentioned that, instead of coming to Cena coming to his defense, he just made jokes and called Ace a loser and sounded like a stupid cartoony self. By the way, there was no John Cena on the show tonight. Okay, whatever, I don't know, we're going to be seeing Big Show and Cena at No Way Out. But he wasn't there to give any build to the match, Cena. But anyway, so he says that Show says that it's like the thing, he just the locker room and the fans just see him as a big joke. And he says that Cena heard him when he just made jokes, when he just made light of his firing a couple weeks ago. And he says that Show heard Cena back by knocking him out twice last week in 24 hours at the over the limit and on Raw last week. Then he says that what he does to Cena at No Way Out won't be pretty. That's going to be scary stuff. And he says that if Cena, suffered when he lost to The Rock at WrestleMania, if he thinks he suffered when he took a beating from Brock Lesnar at Extreme Rules, and he thought he suffered when he lost to Johnny Laurinaitis at Over the Limit, Big Show says that Cena will experience all three of those in one night. And then Big Show says that put a smile on his face. Like I said, this storyline has been has been kind of idiotic, but despite that, I thought Big Show's promos have been good. It's like he was saying, where we're seeing Cena didn't come to his aid. It's like no one really came to, no one really cared that he got the axe. But the thing is, it's like, why is Show now teaming up with the guy who sacked him in the first place? Johnny Ace. It's just like, it's like he's pissed off at Cena, he's pissed off at Kofi and R-Truth and this guy and that guy and the fans, but not a Johnny Ace. I mean, it's like up there, it's like he fires him, but then he gives him an ironclad contract. It just doesn't make sense. So, but like I said, Big Show's promo was good, despite the ridiculousness and insanity of this illogical storyline. So let me get to comedy jobber Santino Marella against Alberto Del Rio. Squash match. Del Rio gets the cross-arm breaker. Santino taps out quicker than you can say mother effer. Okay, I don't know why I said that, but so then afterwards, Ricardo stands over Santino and constantly announcing Del Rio is the winner. Del Rio. And then I think he threw the cobra in Santino's face or what have you. It's a short match, and it was, Del Rio's going to be challenging Sheamus in No Way Out for the world title. So, he should get the squash win. And it was about Ricardo getting paid back on Santino for what happened on SmackDown. So then we go backstage, and Alex Riley, who at first I thought was The Miz, that's shows you how much both those guys mean. Alex Riley's backstage telling Eve how great a job she's doing at being the executive or whatever. And Big Show walks by, and Eve tells Show that Laurinaitis told her that basically Big Show can pick whoever he wants to face. He can pick his opponent for tonight. So then she walks off, and then Alex Riley gets all, he gets all frazzled, and he's saying, "Hey, wait a minute, bro. I agree with everything you said. I agree that it wasn't no one coming to your aid was wrong, and this and that, and then Show tells him to settle down because he's not picking him, but he is going to send a message to the rest of the locker room, and he throws Alex Riley face first into the wall. Good way, like I said, good way to get monster heat on the Big Show, but it's like Alex Riley. I see, it's like, that guy's in no man's land right now, despite the fact that I thought that he was The Miz at first. And then when I saw that Alex Riley was trending on Twitter, I'm like, what the hell is he trending on Twitter for? It's like, oh, that was him and not The Miz. Okay. It shows you how far down the card those two, Alex Riley and The Miz are. So then we get to a tag team championship rematch that we had at Over the Limit, which why in God's name are we getting a pay-per-view rematch? It was a tag title match, R-Truth and Kofi Kingston versus Jack Swagger and Dolph Ziggler. It's not a match. Kofi and Truth win. Truth pins Swagger. It was a solid match. Okay for what it was. And then afterwards, Ziggler gets pissed off at Swagger, and Ziggler saying he's better than this, and then he just walks out on Swagger and Vicky. So apparently they're starting to put with the whole Jericho suspension or what have you. With him kicking the Brazilian flag in Brazil or what have you, and then so they're doing okay. Now we're gonna reboot Dolph and we're gonna give him the singles push again. It's okay. So whatever. It's just like they told us over the course of God knows how long that it's like this guy. They tell the fans, hey, this guy doesn't matter. He's a jabron, and now it's like, oh, okay, yeah, now get behind him. Whatever. Then they show Santino being helped up backstage, and then Big Show comes by. Dramatic hightails it. And then he Show grabs Santino by the face. It's like, and then he's saying, you're not laughing now, are you, Santino? Yeah, you didn't feel what happened to me either. And then Brodus Clay comes in and says for Show, he says to pick Show to face him later on, because he was saying, I heard you had a message for me. Well, say it right here. You can say it to my face as Alex Riley's theme song. So he was saying, I should have said it behind my back. Why don't you just say it right here, and pick me to face you tonight. But then Shell says, like Bros won't be doing any dancing and any stupid shit like that because after tonight he won't be walking. This was alright. Like I say, you knew right away that Brodus wasn't going to be the squasher in tonight, and he even mentioned that it's like his record he's been 22-0 since becoming the Funkasaurus. Okay, whatever. It was an okay segment. Then Johnny Ace comes out on his power scooter, even David Otunga there with him. He says that he's got a few announcements to make tonight. At first he makes it official that Big Show will face Brodus Clay later on in the show. Then he says that the Big Show Cena match at No Way Out will be a steel cage match. And then he says that since he beat Cena, he's become the most powerful WWE star in history. And then he talks about the new video game that's coming out, WWE 13. That's going to be coming out soon. And then he has a drum roll for the unveiling of a picture. And then they unveil it, and they unveil the picture of a fake cover, and it's a picture of Johnny Ace. And he was saying that this game is going to be bigger and better than Pac-Man. Dated reference, but I kind of got a chuckle out of it since I grew up on Pac-Man. But so then CM Punk comes out and says that kind of fitting since Ace and Pac-Man have no nuts. So he tells Johnny Ace that he isn't that popular, and he says that being on the cover of a video really has a lot of meaning to it. And he mentions that the real pick looks a hell of a lot better than Johnny. So then a banner lowers down from the ceiling, and of course it's a picture of Punk. And he said and he was saying, oh hey, Punk was saying hello, and I said, hey, yeah. My pick is bigger than yours, and he was like, oh, I noticed Eve is looking at it pretty good or whatever, and what have you. And then he said, it's like Punk was like, hey, what a concept, a wrestler being on the cover of a wrestling video game. And then he says, it's like, it's like, I know, Johnny, you're gonna put me in you're gonna put me in a gauntlet and this and that, and never before done kind of a stipulation match, but I got to beat Daniel Bryan tonight, and he tells Ace to split pretty much. So then Punk said that the board of directors are watching Johnny Ace, and he doesn't need to give them any more ammunition to use against him or whatever. So then Laurinaitis wishes Punk good luck, and Punk says luck is for losers. So then as Johnny Ace heads up the ramp, Punk kicks Johnny's pick and just destroys it. He pretty much destroys it. Hokey segment, it was kind of corny, but I thought the promos weren't bad. Punk is always good on the mic as usual, despite the segment being completely lame and ridiculous. And I didn't think Johnny was that bad here either, as far as the mic delivery was. But so this led into CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan, which was one of the two best things on the show. Because like I said, I think we were about halfway into the show, and outside of Big Show being the dominant monster, there really wasn't much else to this show. So we get CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. Really good match. They did some great stuff here. AJ came out wearing a CM Punk T-shirt, and then really, like I said, really good match. AJ distracted. She got up on the apron, distracted the referee, and as this is happening, CM Punk and Daniel both get distracted by her being there too, and they're both like, "What are you doing here?" and this and that. And then, while of course, Daniel Bryan, being the heel, capitalizes on the distraction, exposes the turnbuckle, and then he gives the hot shot, to Punk, sends Punk face first into the exposed turnbuckle and gets the pin. Really good match, and I'm guessing we're going to see Punk and Daniel Bryan for the WWE title at No Way Out. Then afterwards, Kane comes in and he bashes Daniel Bryan with a chair, then chokeslams him, and then Kane was going to do the same to Punk, but then Punk came in with a chair too. I don't know if AJ tossed it to him, what have you, but then he waffled Punk with it Punk waffled Kane with the chair a few times, and then Kane slid out. He just rolled out of the ring. Good stuff here. I like what they're doing with AJ too. As the psycho character. It's like what they're gonna do with her or what have you. But I'm thinking eventually in the end they're gonna have her help Daniel Bryan out at the pay-per-view. I hope it's not like a thing where they turn Punk heel and it's like the whole thing was a Punk AJ setup or whatever. Or God forbid, I hope it's not AJ and Kane together. Because that really was. And the other thing is that I hope it's Punk and Bryan in the singles match at No Way Out, and they don't add Kane in there and make it a three-way. Nothing against Kane, but that would kind of detract from the match a bit. But so hopefully we'll see Punk and Bryan at No Way Out, and we'll see what they do with AJ. I mean, I'm guessing she's going to be, she's going to be assisting Daniel Bryan somehow, and at some point. So then we get to another cricket chirper, Christian versus The Miz. Of course, Christian's Intercontinental Champion. Of course, this was non-title because Miz is a fucking job now. Christian won. It was a solid match. Cody was on commentary talking about how he brought Prestige back to the Intercontinental title, and then when Christian beat him for it, it's like we just ruined all that. So during the match, Cody just took his headset off and walked up the ramp, and then just walked to the back. Christian pretty much squashed Miz, and that was it. Miz is in the goddamn doghouse right now. Like I said, it's guy was WWE champion a little over a year ago, and now he's a freaking jobber. So then we go to a really awful backstage segment with Johnny Ace, David Otunga, and Eve, and Teddy Long is in there too. And Johnny tells Teddy that he wants to talk to Eve and Otunga in private or whatever. There's a fucking camera in the office. I mean, come on, people. It's like, I know you're sports entertainment, making movies and all that bullshit, but I mean, come on. This was like WCW Nitro, TNA Impact, having the hidden camera, having the camera going inside the crack in the door. Bad. I mean, jeez. So, Eve tells Teddy Long to get a coffee, what have you, and then Johnny says that he's disappointed in both Eve and Otunga. He's disappointed in Otunga for tapping to the STF in seconds, because he was saying it's like, he was fitted for what he was fitted a lot longer than Otunga did, blah blah blah, and he's pissed at Eve for not managing to get an apology from Sheamus on SmackDown. And then Otunga says that he asks for a match with Sheamus to redeem himself, and mistakenly I typed Cena when I recap the show. My apologies for that, but Otunga asks for a match with Sheamus to redeem himself, and then Johnny says to both of them that he won't be around forever and that he might retire in 10, 20, 30 years. The guy was a wrestler like 20, 25, 30 years ago, and it's like, he's a non-wrestler now. It's like, him saying he might retire in like 20, 30 years or whatever was ridiculous. And then Teddy comes in with Eve's coffee. She takes it, she drinks some of it, and then she spits it on Long and says, "Oh, this is cold." And then they walk out, and then the whole stupid setup line was, Long says, like, "It's supposed to be cold. It's iced coffee." Stupid. I hate that. So then we go back to the ring, and Miz is still in there, and he's got the mic, and he says he wants the match with him, he wants this loss to Christian erased from the record books, and he's saying he's the reason why Johnny Ace is the GM of both Raw and SmackDown, because he did get the pin on Zack Ryder at WrestleMania. And he says, he talks about how come he doesn't get a bonus, how come he's not getting special treatment and this and that. And then they're saying, like, he's not going anywhere until he gets what he wants or whatever. And then, voices in the head, Randy Orton comes out, and Miz is just standing there, and and he's like, hey, he tells Orton, it's like, hey, you better head backstage because I'm not going to move, blah blah blah. Then Orton kicks him in the gut, gives him an RKO. Miz gets flat. It's it's like, thanks for coming, Miz. So then they show Dolph Ziggler and Vicky Guerrero watching on the monitor backstage, and Dolph was telling Vicky, he's kind of whining, I was like, I went over to the tag team with Jack Swagger, and he was saying that should have been him in the ring with Randy Orton instead of Miz or whatever, and Vicky says she'll see what she can do to get him out of the tag team with Swagger. It's just like, I said, they're doing so we're going to be getting, I guess because of the Jericho suspension, it's going to be Orton versus Dolph and No Way Out. But it's just like, they've told us for God knows how long that Dolph Ziggler is a jabron and doesn't matter. And it's like, I even wrote on my blog, I was like, Ziggler wanted to be in the ring getting RKO'd to look like more of a jobber than he's been presented as. I mean, come on. It was just like, that's what I hate about these yo-yo pushes. They've done it with Ziggler, they did it with Sheamus, they've done it with Cody, they've done it with Del Rio, they've done it with, any young guy. It's just like, it's like they give the guy a push, then they yank the rug out from under him. Look what happened with Zack Ryder. And then they tell it, it's like they put it on telling them, hey, stupid universe, these fans don't matter. These fans, well, Vince doesn't think the fans matter anyway, because he knows what we want better than we do. He's like telling fans, hey, these young guys don't matter. And then it's like, okay, hey fans, now they're not, Now this guy matters. Get behind him. And it's like, and the fans like, why the hell should we get behind this guy? You've told us for years that you told us for a couple of years that the guy's a freaking jabron. And then it's like he doesn't get over. It's like, hey, they don't get over. It's like, hey, how come the fans aren't getting behind this guy as a main eventer? It's like, because you treated him like a fucking jobber for 2 or 3 years. And then it's like, well, it's got to be the title's fault or whatever. It's like, get out of here. Ugh. I can rant and rave about that for the next 3 hours. But I ain't gonna. So then they have a Memorial Day, they show a Memorial Day video package that was narrated by John Cena. It was good stuff, you know, like I say, you know, he was, you know, I like how they honor the soldiers, you know, the ones who fall in battle and, you know, sacrifice themselves, sacrifice their lives, and, you know, the ones who, you know, who were actually in combat, you know. Yeah, like I said, I thought it was a cohesive video package, but like I said, it's like, yeah. But something Mike Johnson in his in audio today pointed out, which I thought was good, that, you know, it's like, you know, they have him narrating, you know, this segment, or this video package, but he's not at the show after being KO'd by Big Show last week, you know, he wasn't on the show live. So I don't know what they were doing, so I don't know, I mean, I'm guessing Cena will be back next week and be the cartoon himself going, hey, I got knocked out by the Big Show last week. Whatever. So, I mean, Cena's just like, you know, it's like, when we see, you know, like last week when we was like, what did I happen? I'm sitting for 10 years and I lost, but it was Big Show turned on me and everyone in the month saw coming. You know, even when Cena gets, like, tries to be the serious, pissed off guy, it doesn't work! It's just like Cena's acting skills are not the greatest. You know, like I said, Cena the guy, I think, is really good. I think he does a lot, you know, with the Make-A-Wish and everything. I've said this before, you know, but the character is just so beyond stale. It's just like the Super Friends cartoon. Give it a rest. Come on, Vince. You know, the fans, you know, it's like anyone over the age of, you know, like anyone over the age of 12 is going to be looking at this and be like, this character sucks. So anyway, then we get Sheamus and David Otunga doing the Chris Masters pose, and as Richard Travel put in the raw coverage, the Wade Barrett jacket over the shoulders and throwing it off, and this was a fucking squash. You know, Sheamus just bro kicked them and got the pin easy. Nothing to it, you know. Otunga, whatever, you know. Go refill your coffee mug. Then they show, I only wrote this in here because they show Brodus backstage, and he's doing his pterodactyl stick backstage, and I was like, which made no sense, you know, it's like, they had him stand up the Big Show being more serious, it's like, okay, hey, you got something to say, you can, you know, bring it in the ring or whatever, you know, pick me to wrestle you, and then he's all, Funkasaurus, and all that shit, and then, of course, he comes out for his match with Big Show, and he, and those, and the Funkadactyl, Funkats, whatever the fuck you want to call them, they come out, and they're doing the whole stupid bit. It's like, it's idiotic, you know. It's like, why is Brodus Clay coming out all smiles when he's going to be facing the Big Show? So when Big Show comes out, he comes up with a mic, and he says, you know, it's like, he's a big fan of Brodus, you know, that he, and, you know, because of being you know, just being an embarrassment or whatever, you know, he said, you know, it's like, he thought that Big Show said he thought that he was a sellout when he fought Akebono and, like, got off the sumo match at WrestleMania 21, and he said that, you know, he did that. He did embarrassing things for business, but he says Brodus does these embarrassing things every night and makes a living at it, or whatever. But you know, I mean, Brodus is actually getting paid to do that too. So whatever. Then Shell says that when Brodus' gimmick gets stale and old, people are tired of it. Maybe you know, Brodus can be the next Doink. Which I find kind of funny, you know, but he said that and then Shell said that the difference between Brodus and Doink, and there were a lot of guys in the Doink world over the last 20 years, is that Doink actually had talent. So then Big Show runs out, and he just beats the hell out of Brodus. Yeah, he just beat the hell out of him outside the ring, while the Funkats watching in horror in the ring, which I gotta say, I was cool with that. Then for some reason, Kofi Kingston and R-Truth show up. Kofi dives off the steel steps onto Shell. Shell catches him, throws him into R-Truth. Then Shell just breaks the announce table. Big Show smash. and he takes the piece that he broke off. A piece of it that he broke off, and he just pounded the hell out of Brodus over the back with the piece of the announce table. You know, just boom, boom, and then R-Truth, I think dove on or whatever. He threw him into the outside the ring. He threw him into the ropes, and Truth fell face first onto the floor. Then Kofi was going to give Big Show the Trouble in Paradise kick. Show caught him, and he threw Kofi over the the ring barrier into the ring barrier by the timekeeper, and that was a sick bump that Kofi took. I mean, that was a really good. You know, I mean, he sold really well for Big Show there. And then the Big Show took picked up R-Truth, and he just threw him into the steel steps, and then he gives Brodus Clay a knockout punch. So Kofi, Truth, Kofi, and Brodus are all laying out cold, selling the Big Show beating. And then the Big Show looks around, and he's looking at the fans and whatever. There's like the big signs that say the big sellout, and he's just looking at the fans like they make him sick or whatever. And then he says that actually he doesn't say anything. He just walks up the ramp, and then Johnny Ace comes out, and he raises Big Show's arm while the Truth, Kofi, and Brodus lay unconscious selling Big Show's beating. And then Johnny Ace shakes the Big Show's hand, and that's the end of the show. Like I said, I thought they did a really good job of making Big Show look like a monster here. They did a great job with that. Like I said, the show was really, this was all about getting the Big Show over as a monster heel. I mean, I've noticed, he, like a lot of other guys, have turned face and heel so often. It's like, it isn't really believable at times. But I mean, Cena and Show and the Cage at No Way Out. We'll see what happens. I mean, if they want to continue this feud, they better, I think Big Show should win, but I have a feeling it's just going to be, Cena overcoming the odds, and then just making a big joke out of it, like usual. But I thought it was good. I thought Kofi took a really sick bump when he got thrown into the barrier by the timekeeper's table. And it was actually, I like to, nothing against Brodus Clay, the guy that was like, that character is so fucking stale and stupid. It was just nice to see him come out and not be the squasher and do the, Funkasaurus bit. It was nice to see him, get laid out by the big, it's like, to have Big Show just flatten him. So, I like that they had Brodus and, Kofi and Truth take a beating at, from Big Show. So, like I say, overall, I thought that this week's show wasn't great, but it wasn't completely terrible either. Like I say, it was nowhere near as bad as the last 2 weeks, I don't think. Like I said, Big Show's promo at the start was good. The stuff at the end was good with him laying out the Funkasaurus and the tag champs. And like I said, I thought they really did. They did a good job in making Show look like a monster heel here. I have no idea why he's with Johnny Ace, since he's the guy who started all this bullshit in the first place. Because like he made him get to his knees and blubber and beg and cry for his job. It's like, I mean, would anyone, if someone was given the axe by the boss, in front of the rest of the crew, would they really be teaming up with him, looking for the job back? I don't think so. They'd just be like, fuck you, I'm out of here. So, it's just like, so that part of it just doesn't make sense, but, it's, whatever, but that and, so Big Show being looking like a monster at the end, and the Punk Bryan match, that was the best part of the show, so those were the best 2 parts of the show, it's like, I like what they're doing with AJ too, she's wearing the CM Punk shirt, so, like I say, I'm thinking it means she's gonna help out Daniel Bryan at No Way Out, so I'm guessing that's what they're gonna, that's what eventually is gonna happen. Tag title match was okay too, like I said, not much to it, it was good for what it was. I don't know why they had a rematch of a pay-per-view, but of course pay-per-views don't mean shit these days in WWE land. Christian Miz, it was a crooked chipper. I mean, everyone knew Miz was jobbing there. He's been on a downward spiral. I was alright with his promo where he complained about not getting any recognition for being the reason why Johnny Ace is running the show, but there wasn't much else to it. I was like, I was okay with that, but then of course he got buried again by an RKO from Randy Orton. So overall, like I said, the show was good. It was not, like I say, it wasn't terrific, but it wasn't really god awful like the last 2 weeks were either. So that'll pretty much do it for me right now. I guess again, like I said, you can check out my other videos on my channel. You can feel free to add me as a contact. You can comment as you see fit on this video, and you can check out my blog site, TonyViz.blogspot.com, where I recap all the shows, well, the main ones, Raw, Impact, and SmackDown, And I guess that'll pretty much do it now. So I'll be back on Friday with the Post Impact show, which will be the first live Impact. We'll see how that goes with the Brooks there on the show. The first night, and we'll see how that goes. So until Friday, this is the Tony Viz. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you on Friday. And I hope you all had a good Memorial Day weekend. Take care, everybody, and I'll talk to you on Friday.